Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters here on France 24. I'm Mark Owen. In this edition, a road project planned to open up the potential of one of Europe's least developed corners. But the ambitious plan, bankrolled by massive loans from China, has become an economic dead end for Montenegro. The whole thing has been condemned as a risky, reckless and corrupt idea, leaving Montenegro deeply in debt with an unfinished billion-dollar road to nowhere. Our reports by Claire Paquelin and David Gilbert.
This is Montenegro's first motorway. It's a gigantic project costing $1 billion, a lot for a small country of 600,000 people. Construction has damaged the environment and deepened the national debt. So why did Montenegro sign its biggest ever infrastructure deal with China? This is the old road that links the capital Podgorica with the north. It's extremely dangerous.
Dosta je uzak put I ove stijene dosta smetaju, vrhovi ne mogu šleperi da prolaze I veći kamioni, moraju da pređu drugu traku I da tu isto stvara se dosta je izbog toga saobraćajnih nezgoda. Pa autoputevi su nešto što je sad svaka država skoro ima, tako da.
The initial plan was to build a 165-kilometer motorway linking the port of Bar in the south with the Serbian border in the north. But in 2014, the Montenegrin government signed a contract involving only a 42-kilometer stretch of road through the center of the country, where the terrain is the most complex. The China Road and Bridge Corporation, the CRBC, is responsible for building it. For now, the motorway ends here, in the tiny village of Matiševo.
Ne bi trebalo, nema mnogo, vidiš. Juče smo uspjeli da dosta tih štetnih izbacimo.
Prisha Boskovic, a retired policeman, had thought he could benefit from owning a home so close to the motorway. But it's turned into a nightmare. While he was away from home, excavated material was dumped on the land where he grows fruit and vegetables.
Ovaj dio dolje, to su Kinezi donijeli I skroz do šljiva, do voćka je bilo to natureno tolika visina. Međutim, mi smo tražili, bunili se I oni su to uklonili. Ali posle uklanjanja, mi smo bili na većoj muci, jer su nam dotjerali takvu zemlju da smo ja I supruga tonama kamena, a može da se primijeti I ovde, izbacili van njive da bi mogli da zasijemo bilo što. To su kamenji. A da vidite vamo, nije moglo uopšte cvekala da uzgaja se.
Prisha has filed 2 legal complaints against the Chinese company. A few dozen meters from his house, the motorway has caused another victim, the Tara River.
It's terrible what happened here, you know?
An interchange was built in the river itself, which is on the UNESCO World Heritage List.
This is the place where the impact on the Tara River was the biggest. We have here the bridge going directly across the river, and in the process of construction, they had to move the river. So these rocks are actually covered with the cement.
Environmental damage, which this engineer says he knew nothing about. He designed the motorway's route in 2008 and now chairs the panel which reviews all the documents linked to its construction.
This specific location, where Tara River is destroyed, it's out of main design, actually. You know, it's a few hundred meters, you know, out of this area. And I suppose that contractor has some intervention out of this line, for sure, you know. I don't know, put some materials there, make some landfills out of main design, you know, not confirmed, not approved.
But the French-Italian group responsible for inspecting the works did warn the government about environmental damage. This inspection report states that the engineer observed during the visit that washing of mixer trucks was done in one place and that the concrete silt went into the Tara River basin.
Basically, these documents shows that the government knew all along that the CRBC is damaging and devastating the river.
Lazar Gardanica works for the NGO MANS, which investigates corruption and organized crime in Montenegro. To get hold of the inspection reports, kept secret for years, he had to wait until the government changed hands in 2020. The elections brought an end to 30 years of rule by the DPS, the party of Milo Đukanović. His party lost its majority, but he's still president. At first pro-Russia, he then turned towards the West. In 2017, Montenegro became a member of NATO and has applied to join the EU. It was natural then to look for Western partners to finance the motorway. A British consultant carried out feasibility studies.
Idea itself was not criticized, but the feasibility of the project was. But the government, the previous government, hid those two studies and did an arrangement with the Chinese.
Documents shrouded in silence by the previous government and Montenegrins kept in the dark.
Imaju nekakvu obavezu da to gore. Ovo je uvijek bilo dobro mjesto. Prije ovoga urnebesa što su napravili.
These fly fishermen were in charge of monitoring this section of the Tara River until their authorization was revoked in 2018, just as the water quality got dramatically worse.
I think 90% of the population of rivers was destroyed. During that works, a couple of years, we had just mud in the rivers. Fish just cannot survive. I hope one day that someone has to be responsible for that, what they have done.
In 2014, the Montenegrin government signed 2 contracts with China. The first, for the construction of the motorway by the China Road and Bridge Corporation. The second, for a loan of 800 million euros from the Chinese Exim Bank. Montenegro agreed to give up part of its territory if it fails to repay the loan. The new government has inherited this situation, and the Prime Minister says it feels like being caught in a trap.
U našem narodu postoji jedna krilatica koja kaže dug je najgori drug. Nalazim se vrlo često u jednoj neprijatnoj situaciji, da mene neko postavlja pitanje o odnosu sa Kinom.
The Chinese bank now holds 1/5 of Montenegro's entire national debt. It's a way for Beijing to extend its presence in the region as part of its new Silk Road trade project. The Chinese ambassador to Montenegro turned down our request for an interview, but this financial analyst was able to speak with him. He shared his frustration about the accusations against his country.
You have some officials that go to Brussels and say, China did this to us, China will take our territory, China is this, China is that. The current government, but also the parts of the previous government, behave like we were in a position to choose, and so we choose the worst option. So we were we were not able to choose. That was the thing we had to beg.
Montenegro paid back its first loan installment in July this year. More than 2 years behind schedule, the motorway is being completed, but it's still unclear when it'll be open to the public. In the CRBC compounds, our questions are not welcome.
We have no right to make any interview from media and newspapers.
We do not have permission from the government of Montenegro. And the second reason is that our mother company from Beijing gave us a clear order to not give any kind of statements at this stage of the project.
To get information and access the motorway, we contacted the Montenegrin company BEMAX, the CRBC's biggest local subcontractor. The Chinese company sent 2 employees to monitor our interview with BEMAX's project coordinator.
Ti reci ako misliš da se kaže da je sad reka nešto što ne treba. I'm just asking him to control me.
says something wrong, I'm permitted to
Okay,
shoot
but
him, essentially.
throw me off the bridge. Promovision in contract which CRBC have with government of Montenegro, they need to put 30% of the works to domestic company. And since BMX is the biggest domestic company, most of these 30% is in BMX side.
BMX was paid more than 240 million euros for the works. The company opened in 2007, a year after independence. It's now everywhere in Montenegro.
So now BMX is doing, let's say, all kinds of works. 2-3 months ago we finished, let's say, one park, also BMX park it's called. We are now building school in Podgorica. This is donation from our company.
This is the school being built, officially financed by BMX. But the mayor of Podgorica has said that this man and his family paid the 7 million euros needed. Ranko Ubovic exemplifies the close connections between Montenegro's political elites and certain business circles. President Milo Đukanović and his entourage used to meet up here in this cafe in Podgorica until 2015, when it was damaged in a bomb attack. His name might not be on the company's paperwork, but some local press outlets believe that Ranko Ubovic co-owned the cafe and is the man behind BMX.
MX is a company which began to show basically during the night, and now all of a sudden we have BMX winning all those state tenders. Basically they are state in a state.
The motorway was the contract of the century for BMX. But some crucial elements were somehow forgotten: water and electricity supplies. And this intersection needed to actually get onto the motorway from the capital, Podgorica. Building it meant extra earnings for BMX of 30 million euros.
Main connection, traffic connection part with highway with Podgorica, that whole project was promoted in March 2019 in BMX management report, and the contract was signed in May that year, which was 2 months later than the promotion. So how did they know that they will get the job?
The former Minister of Transport rejects accusations of corruption. He was the one who signed the contract with the Chinese.
Veze BMX-a sa pojedinim strukturama bivše vlasti, mene kao tadašnjeg ministra koji želi da se posao završi na optimalan, profesionalan, kvalitetan način.
For the former minister, BMX was the most qualified company for the job, and everything was done in line with the law.
Ovaj ugovor ja nikad ne bih potpisao dok nije zaštitnik imovinskih odnosa države pogledao sve stavke i rekao da je u redu u skladu sa zakonom, dok vlada nije donijela odluku, i nakon toga sam ja kao ministar, parlament usvojio zakon i nakon toga sam ja kao ministar potpisao.
A special law was passed. It gave tax breaks for labor costs, fuel, building materials, and other imported goods to the Chinese and its subcontractors, including BMX. Dritan Abazovic, the deputy prime minister in charge of fighting corruption, believes members of the old government designed the law to cover their backs and line their pockets.
Now we want to go into clashing with the Chinese. They give the offer, we accept the offer, that's it. That is fault of our authorities. And they probably have some big reason why they signed something like that. We can just imagine what is the reason. State reason and national interest of the country, definitely it's not.
One of the official reasons for building the motorway was to open up and develop the north of Montenegro. The mayor of KOLASIN is thrilled. The first stretch arrives a few kilometers from his town.
Mi smo veoma nestrpljivi jer mi shvatamo da ćemo završetkom autoputa ovi naši ski centri biti čak na manje od sat vremena daleko od našeg aerodroma u Podgorici.
An easy route to the rapidly expanding ski stations, where hotels and restaurants are going up fast. One of the property developers is on site, but he doesn't wish to answer questions from journalists.
Da, baš su poznati Francuzi, dobro. Sa srećom, momci.
The developer is called Zoran Bećirevića, but he's nicknamed Chocho.
This is boss of this project.
He's been accused of involvement in suspicious property deals because of his close ties to the president's entourage. He denies the accusations. The first motorway in Montenegro was supposed to benefit the whole country, but so far it's only 42 kilometers long and been beneficial to a select few. The port of Bar is still waiting for its time to shine. And now Montenegro has to solve another dilemma. It's deep in debt and needs to borrow even more money to finish the motorway and finally link the north with the south.
Well, that's it for this edition of Reporters. We will, of course, be following all developments on Montenegro's road to nowhere. And you can see this program again on our website, France24.com. Thanks for watching. Stay with us. Most of all, stay safe.